$1,089,000. So you can see how owning real estate becomes very attractive because of leverage. Okay? Let's say that you got a loan for this $900,000 at 6%, for argument's sakes. Okay? 6% of $900,000 would be $54,000. This interest payment is deductible. On your primary investment, deductible. You can depreciate the asset over a period of 29 years. Okay? So it appreciates, leverage, depreciation. You don't need a lot of money out of pocket. And that's one of the strategies that I'm going to show you guys, is how to buy real estate with very little capital. Any questions what I just went over? No? Let's say we have a $300,000 property. What's a typical way to buy this property? Typical scenario? Or a conventional finance loan. There's different ways to finance property. FHA requires you to put 3% down. Conventional requires you to put 5% or more down. VA requires you to put how much money down? 0. And private, it just depends on the terms of the private owner. So if I'm an owner and I own this property outright, I can say, I want you to give me 3% down, or I don't want you to give me any money down. I'll finance $300,000 at X interest rate for X number of years. Okay? Typical scenario, we put 5% down. 5% is $15,000. Okay? Then we would finance $285,000. What are interest rates at today? Let's say 6.5. Okay? Let's say that our monthly payments turn out to be $2,500 a month, principal and interest. Okay? And let's say that above that we have to pay taxes and insurance. So let's say that's another $250. So in total we would have to come out of pocket or pay monthly $2,750. Okay? This is a typical scenario, right? It's pretty straightforward. There are different ways to finance property. We can either get a fixed rate, adjustable. Now you can do a 228, which means that the rate stays fixed for 2 years and then it'll adjust. Okay? There's a 5-1 arm and there's a 1-year adjustable. The 5-1 arm is basically, it stays fixed for 5 years, then after 5 years it becomes adjustable depending on where the market is, and there's certain indexes that they use to calculate whatever that rate will be in 5 years. Typically we use LIBOR, London Interbank Monetary Rate. I forget what the whole abbreviation is, but I'm sorry?
London International Overseas.
Okay. And it's basically an index. And then whatever that index is, they'll charge us plus, 2 points. So whatever that rate is in the future, that's how they compute your monthly payment. What happens is that 80% of all loans written last year were adjustable. So this year, because the feds have decided to raise interest rates, I think this is the 14th time in a row, those people that were holding on to adjustable rate mortgages and were paying X amount a month, guess what? Their monthly payments are going to go up. Guess what's going to happen to the foreclosure market? More people are going to go into foreclosure. Okay? So that's a 5-1 arm, a 1 year arm, basically every year. Okay? So if you're planning on flipping property, this is fine. If you're planning on holding on to property, then you want to get a fixed interest rate. Okay? Any questions so far? Sir?
Can you refinance 5 an hour?
Yeah. Sure.
Before 5 years or?
You can refinance before 5 years. Now, there's certain banks that will actually set a, a prepayment penalty for refinancing before that time. But that all depends on your Beacon score. How many of you guys have looked up your credit score recently? Most of you? Good. Now I'm going to show you guys a strategy where you can use to increase your credit score. And this is one of the few times that I'm going to suggest setting up a CD. If you go to, let's say, Washington Mutual and invest $5,000 in a CD, and then you ask for a loan, a collateralized loan for $5,000, okay? The CD is going to pay maybe 3.5%. And the loan is probably going to be at about 6.5%. Okay, so you're going to pay a little bit of a premium to do this, but it's well worth it. Every month, you're going to have a monthly payment. Okay? Let's say that monthly payment is $150. If you pay 20% more, okay, at the end of 6 months, you pay off that loan. After you pay off this loan, your Beacon score will go up anywhere between 20 to 50 points. Okay? So if you guys want to increase your credit score, basically pay 20% more towards your bills. Your car payment, your mortgage, in this example, a collateralized loan. The CD is being used as collateral. So there's no reason why the bank won't give you a loan against that money. 20% of the monthly payment. Correct. Okay? And what I would suggest you guys do is go to the credit bureaus through annual credit report.com. And through them, you can pull up your Experian credit report, Equifax, and TransUnion. You can go directly to them directly, or you can go through annualcreditreport.com. By law, you're entitled to a free copy of your credit report once a year. Okay? And if you go through the bureaus, then it doesn't lower your Beacon score. It doesn't show like an inquiry. Okay? There's what's called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, that if there's anything wrong in your credit report and you dispute it, and the credit bureau doesn't get back to you within 30 days, they have to take it off. Sir?
Well, I just heard on the way over here, but also, each bureau has their own credit scoring system.
Absolutely.
They're now going to consolidate and make one system for all three, so they're also going to change the scoring differences. Before it was 480 to 850,
Yeah.
and it's going to be 500 to 950.
Interesting.
It's going to be a little bit more consolidated,
Yeah.
so everybody's on the same page. I think they're going to call it FICO now, as one score.
One score. That's interesting. Basically, you guys, is making your payments on time, utilizing some of these strategies to increase your credit score. After you do this, you might want to just do a loan, a personalized loan without a CD, and then pay that off after 6 months. That'll raise your credit score. Okay? So, I'm going to bring up an example. sorry?
When you go to get your credit report, you want to go to the annual credit report, or you want to go to each individual?
If you go to annual credit report, it'll take you to each individual.
Okay. And then if you do it that way, you want to have an inquiry.
If you go to each credit bureau independently, you won't have the inquiry either. But if you go through annual credit report, I believe it was like the first quarter of the year, the eastern states didn't have to pay for it. So it depends what quarter of the year it is. Certain states don't have to pay for the reports through all three of the bureaus.
Is it calendar year or fiscal year?
I believe it's fiscal. Okay, so that's some of the websites to take a look at because it is very important. Okay, so let's say that we're going to create a couple by the name of Jane and John. Okay, let's say Jane and John own a property worth $300,000. They owe $200,000. They have $100,000 in equity. Okay? Let's say that they owe the bank $10,000 in payments in arrears. So their monthly payment plus attorney fees. Okay? So they're 2 to 3 months late. There's an attorney involved that's representing the bank or the private investor that issued this loan. Okay? The attorney files what's called a motion of lis pendens. It becomes public. The file becomes public in every civil division of the courthouse in every state. Here in Dade County, it's at 73 West Flagler, room 133. So if you guys wanted to do the research yourselves, you would go to the courthouse, ask for the latest lis pendens or the latest foreclosure files, and you would have to sort through those files for the name of the defendants, the name of the plaintiff, the attorney, the address of the property, any liens against the property, the value you would find through the property appraisers, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. So you can either do that yourselves, or you can go to an entity or an institution that publishes this information. And I'm going to give you guys a list of institutions that publish this information. It's online. It's on the local newspaper.
It's online now, right?
Dade County publishes the notice of sheriff sales online 3 weeks prior to the auction. They do not publish the lis pendens. It's too much work. Okay? So 3 months later, if they don't refinance or sell the property, it's going to go up for auction. 3 weeks before the auction, the information becomes public again at 140 West Flagler, 15th floor. Okay? So, the first objective is to get leads on who's in foreclosure, or go to the courthouse and do the research yourselves. I would recommend subscribing to an institution that publishes this information, because who's got time from 9 to 5 to go down to the courthouse? Not too many of us. Okay? So get leads, contact owners either by mail, phone, or a knock at the door. What do you guys think is most effective? A knock at the door. Okay? Once you're there, you want to find out motivated.